Hi, TAKful Creator here. Okay, let's get started. May God the Creator bless us. May God the Redeemer heal us. May God the Holy Spirit enlighten us. Give us eyes to see, ears to hear, and hands to do the work of God. Feet to walk the path of justice, and mouths to preach the good news. May the angel of peace, prosperity, love, abundance, grace, and guidance watch over us and lead us to the reign of God. Ashe. Okay, so, of course, I'm doing a reading when my voice is all scratchy. Per usual. Okay, so obviously the throat chakra is being attacked, and we wonder why. Because there's some kind of energy that we need some information for. Okay, we need to know what's going on, how it's going on, who it's dealing with. We need to prepare for something. Okay, because what's a soldier without preparation for battle, right? Okay, so let's say hi to our guides. Hi, Divine. Hey, Divine. Can you show me no? Thank you. Can you show me yes? Thank you. And that we're on the right track. Much appreciated. Okay, so we're going to start off with the descriptive deck. Yes. Are there any excessively pertinent information we need to know? It's just to help us really move into the new flow of this 2023, or the year of 7, I should say, right? We just got out of the year of 6, which is all about love, but not necessarily the positive forms of love. So if we're talking about love, we're talking about the action of it and how sometimes it can make you a martyr. It could be sacrificial, or the process of learning to love yourself may be harsh or debilitating. You know, it's not a beautiful process unless you factor in the part where, you know, you fall in true, pure, divine love. And then at that point, yes, it's a beautiful story. But if you want to talk about the process is not confirmation. The process is not beautiful. It's not pretty. Okay, so that's what we're moving into. We're embarking on that as it is still January. So how do we need to prepare? Right? What are the energies that are leading this new revolution that we have? Okay, y'all saw that. French Revolution. I said French. So French Revolution. What does that mean to you? Okay. Gangs. But when I see gangs, I'm seeing red and blue. I'm not really seeing Crips and Bloods. I'm seeing like political gangs. So like Democrat versus Republican. That's what I'm seeing here. Someone with small hands or doesn't have the ability to physically manipulate reality. So they don't have the ability to put stuff into action, put stuff into practice, physically move things or physically build or create things. Okay, this is someone who probably has larger lips or larger feet. They most likely have to walk the path to understand what's going on, opposed to creating the path for themselves. Okay, someone who has frizzy hair. I know my hair is frizzy right now, but I'm pretty sure this person who is probably into politics has small hands and frizzy hair. And can't be considered a sex god. Okay, so maybe that's where the politics are coming into play, because oftentimes people who have power, who are in political power, they have a bit of a following, and in that following, most people want to have a taste of what they deem as royalty, and a lot of politicians are that for small-minded people. So, but I guess this person actually is a wonder in bed, you know. The reputation precedes them, in a sense. And they have glassy eyes, or they see through rose-colored lenses. Okay, now glassy eyes, a lot of the time when they talk about narcissists, they talk about the glimmer in their eye. It's kind of like the sweet spot for them. And it's magnified in one small glimmer. So it's kind of like a twinkle, and that's like their light. Out of all the darkness of their eye, they have one twinkle of light, and that's how you can quote unquote tell a narcissist. You know, there's a lot of people out there with glossy eyes. If the full eyeball is glossy, that's usually someone who is easygoing and someone who moves in flow. Also, someone who has glassy eyes, they're usually upbeat. and kind of can clear energy very well. But if there's that one little twinkle, it's either narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic. But narcissism is usually the prelude to those worst disorders. Okay. And we have so many messages here. Okay. Alright, so I think that's it. We just know that this politician has street smarts, right? We can see that here. So just to get a general backlog of everything that fell down, right? So we have someone who is Muslim. I'm getting that they are extremely moralistic, ethical. That's what I'm getting by Muslim. So they have a lot of practices that have to be adhered to. There's a lot of structure in their day-to-day life. Kind of like routine structures for their health, their overall livelihood, their mental, spiritual, physical health, right? That's what I'm getting here by Muslim. And that this person is slim. This person is thin and slim, probably because they're sickly, right? Slim, sickly. That's what we have here. French, baguette. Okay, so French kissing is what I'm getting from that. French kissing, maybe French fries, French food, authentic French food. As you know, I said baguette, so maybe French food. But I'm really getting French fries here, so probably like eating a meal that requires fries or mustard, the French mustard. Someone who has a shortcut. And we already said frizzy hair, small hands, a part of politics, like it's a gang, considered a sex god, and has rose-colored glasses or a glassy eye. They could potentially be narcissistic, or they're attuned to energies and how to transmute them. Okay, so they're empathic with transmutative capabilities. Okay, you can be empathic and sit there and just deal with the energies all the time and, you know, reflect back to people the energy that you harness from them. That's great as an empath. That is helpful. However, transmutation, shifting the energy on your own and then teaching the other individual either by sight or by explanation how the energy could be moved into a positive and how it could, you know, eventually bless the environment or situation. That would be called transmutation. And that's a little bit more difficult for people. So a lot of good-hearted people survive on the idea that they are empaths and they're just here to be a reservoir for energy, or maybe they don't like it. They don't like being a reservoir for energy. It's too much for their sensitive bodies. But you signed a contract before you got here. So obviously your sensitive body was necessary for the transmutation. So vocally, maybe you need a backbone. Just a little bit with your own sensitivity. But I digress on that. Because we need more empaths to stop being so introverted and soft. We need them to be stronger and show the confidence behind wielding, you know, emotional and energetic power. Like, it's not a weak thing. We shouldn't see every empath in a corner crying. So, from personal experience, like, I'm an empath. I'm an excessive empath. That's one of the reasons why I can channel so well. However, I do not like to channel other empaths. It is one, I hate it. I literally hate it. I understand I have to transmute your energy. I have to assist you in, you know, your process because it's a lot to deal with. However, oh my gosh, please, 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 please. Backbone. Get it. I don't care if you're feminine, masculine. I don't care if you're a female or a male. Get your backbone. Be that strong empath out there so that these other empaths that see you can see hope. The first step is perspective. If everyone thinks an empath is supposed to be sensitive and taking on emotions, we always think the negative emotions, but empaths take on positive emotions too. They take on jubilance and I was going to say excitement again, but I want to say something that more like when you rush and you're like quick, you're in haste, but in a positive way. Like, you can transmute love. And I don't mean the action of love. I mean the affection that love can bring. The dopamine that love can give off. You can empathically feel that from someone else too. There's so many positive emotions that, you didn't do any personal work to feel, but you're enjoying them. So how about you take the negative on the chin? You didn't do anything to include the negative emotion, but you get to learn the lesson and have the opportunity to use the skill from the lesson and all these other facets of your life, while that other person is still trying to figure out what even happened. All right, count your blessings. Or it could be taken away from you, and then now you're too busy. Oh, well, there was a time. Yeah, and the time was taken away from you because you were too busy complaining about it. Great. So there's someone with an acne face, and I know because I'm in their energy right now. Right before the reading, I looked in the mirror and I just had like heat spots. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't wake up this morning with this. And I'm like, yep, time for a reading. I'm obviously in someone's energy that really needs to hear this message, okay? You must have some kind of stolen or passed down wealth, and I mean that in a sense of knowledge or education. Maybe you're taking information from people, you're not giving credit. Maybe you're taking perspectives from people and you're not understanding the root of the perspective, and you're sharing it without having the true fundamentals that others may need to use your advice or your suggestions with success opposed to with failure, right? So there's some kind of stolen something. You don't have the authentication. Yep, so the camera cut off. Great. So obviously if this card Muslim fell out at the same time as slim thick, it would be a really good identifier for the maybe slim thick, because it's highlighting the slim. But having skinny here with the Muslim, we're really affirming that this person, and then sickly right here underneath it, we're really affirming that this person is frail from some kind of illness. Now this illness could be because it is karma, right? You are serving, I guess, pre-existing lifetimes, because we have the South Node here. So you're serving lifetimes of karma in this lifetime. So you may have been sickly from a young age, or you may have looked sickly from a young age. It's hard for you to gain weight or to look fit, because maybe you were gluttonous in a previous lifetime, right? Or maybe, you had a lot of demonic attachments in a previous lifetime, and so this is your recompense, right? You may not have been born with the demonic attachments, but the repercussions of it would be being really skinny and frail, and having a lot of sicknesses, and harboring negative thoughts, and harboring negative attitude. But the difference here is, listen, when we were talking about weight, being overweight, having fat, that is suppressed anger, suppressed PTSD, anxiety, unhealed trauma, negativity, toxicity. That is what fat is, okay? Those emotions. Now, when you're talking about being skinny and being sickly while being skinny, we're talking about, from one spectrum, you're not letting any of it out. That's when you're fat. The other spectrum, you are constantly letting it out. Too much, in a way that doesn't offer tact, in a way that doesn't offer health to the other people around you, doesn't even offer understanding or growth to people around you. It's kind of like you are, what did my sister used to say growing up? It's like you have diarrhea of the mouth, right? It's just you're constantly spewing poop, right? Because people can't really utilize the information. Now, why can't people utilize the information? Because they don't see it's authentic to you. They don't see that you have their best at heart. Now, why do they see that? Maybe because, it's different. There's change. But I really believe it's because of your South Node needing attention. There's some kind of subconscious negativity, some kind of subconscious darkness that you haven't tapped into, that you haven't understood yet, and it's actually emanating around you in your aura. So even though you move along like you're carefree and you're happy, like, yay, we're so excited, it does not sound that way. It sounds forced. It sounds fake. It sounds like it's your last breath and you're taking everything inside of you to let it out. It's like you're in the desert and you're gasping for water. That's what it sounds like, right? And that's probably because this person has, or this energy rather, I'm going to say energy because it could be a demonic attachment that is attaching itself to multiple people and feeding that way. So, and by a demonic attachment, we just mean a cast of dark energy, a dark shadow, but instead of raining, it has you feel negative emotions. Okay, for those of you who are just getting into spirituality and saying stuff like demonic or devil really, excites your fear complex, the fear that is technically brainwashed into you, that's taught to you, that fear. Okay, and just to let you know, having a lot of fears is also a way of being excessively large or being excessively small. If you fear a lot without understanding, you will be large. If you fear with understanding and you still fear, you will be small. Okay, so, pick your poison, but there's ways of being large and in charge and small and cute. I don't know. Or small and compact, whether large and in charge or small and compact. There's ways of being positive in those ways. Excuse me. There's ways of being positive along that path. Okay, so if you want to be super skinny, you can exercise all the time and you get the positive dopamine. Or if you want to be larger, you can eat a lot of grain enriched foods, a lot of butter, because you can eat. Everything's in moderation. So if all your oils come from butter and it doesn't come from butter in the rest of your foods, you're able to eat at certain times of the day to allow your body to rest with starches so that it can feed when you're asleep. And then this way you're not super thin. You have kind of like a softness about your muscles. Anyway, there's a whole science to this weight stuff, okay? But a lot of it is psychological. A lot of it is your mental, your temperament. Okay, so that's why you see a lot of gym buffs talking about affirmations. They're keeping their mind positive, letting go of negativity, because that is a way to let go of trapped PTSD and all of this stuff by affirming yourself and letting go of toxicity, right? Physically by sweating and purging, and then theoretically by healing, or non-tangibly by healing. Okay, so this person is experienced fully, and I'm sure they are, because we have the street smarts that's at the bottom of the deck with this snake-like energy. Very interesting. And then we have this haircut or fade that's with this shortcut. Okay, so this person has street smarts, which also makes sense because we talked about politics, so they would have to have some kind of street smarts. They're experienced fully when it comes to the sexual desires, obviously, because we have the sex god card in here, but they're also experienced in their day-to-day. So experience doing what? Having street smart. So that could be talking with being a traveler, being a boss. Okay, we see all the stuff that they're being a diplomat, being diplomatic. Okay, so we see. And then assisting beggars. Okay, they're being diplomatic with beggars. Boss status, experience fully. We had the gang that was black. Technically it was black, blue, and red, but we noted the blue and red for the Democrats and the Republicans. But we can talk about the independent party being the black party. So then we have all the parties represented. Boss status, so obviously you are in the running, or you consider yourself as the winner of the title that's within the political forum. And we know it's the political forum because, again, we have this diplomatic card that could be used in so many business structures. However, when this person has the ability to, fornicate with a lot of people, but they're also diplomatic, but they're also, experienced, they have snake-like energy. So that snake-like energy can be the charm, which is why we talked about the narcissism having that twinkle and that glass eye, that twinkle in your eye. Because there's a whole bunch of beggars around them. Now we see the hierarchy. They feel they have the superiority complex about them. Okay. Now the superiority complex, though, when you are in politics, you want everyone around you to feel like you're on the same level as them. But this person, and I'm getting Leo vibes, please do not attack me for that, but I'm definitely getting Leo vibes here with being the center of attention and, you know, having the world revolve around them. And so everyone around them is considered a peasant or considered a beggar, right? Because they're the beauty queen. They're the beauty queen here, even though they're technically pouring from an empty cup. So what I've noticed about a lot of Leos, again, do not attack me for this, okay? This is just an observation. I have a lot of Leos in my life. A lot. And they're all different. They're from different areas of the Leo spectrum. They're different genders. They're different, they have different sexual orientations. They have different genders, obviously. They're different nationalities and cultures and backgrounds. They're all very different. However, this is the similarity between them. No matter what, on a good day, on a bad day, they are the center of attention. They may not feel like they're the most beautiful or, you know, that they're the king and queen out there. But however, they feel like they are their best selves. If you said there's room for improvement, not for a Leo, because they are always their best self. Even when, and that's why we have pouring from an empty cup here, even when they do not have the skill set, they do not have the professionalism, they do not have the ability in the smallest sense, because they didn't care enough to do the work, to do the research, because for them, it is the belief in themselves that enables their success. So a lot of the time they can give you false hope as to, you know, running in and being this savior, when in actuality they, like most politicians, they're not the ones that really make the rules. They're not the ones that really can change things. They're only the face, so that if something were to happen, they will be the person to engage with the public, right? Because they're either the popularity vote, or, you know, they make the public feel safe. They have the compassionate vote, the empathetic vote, okay? So then the skinny over here flew by a beauty queen. So again, if we have Leo vibes, it's all about your physical aesthetic. Now again, I know a lot of Leos that aren't the smallest, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But it is about having confidence in your appearance. Oftentimes, models, and the models that are the most confident, or the most confident while they're out there, are the models that fit the beauty standard of 1960 or 1950, okay, which happens to be extremely skinny. So this person could be in old ideals, thinking that in order for them to be the popularity vote in front of an audience like this, that they must remain super skinny. So that could be why they're sickly, because they're taking shortcuts on a diet, and they're probably not eating at all. That could be the reason why they're getting face acne, because they're not nourishing their bodies. They're not ingesting the right things. They're probably not drinking enough water, and the foods that they are eating, because they're not eating on a regular basis, are foods that are high in fat and sugar and starches. And the issue with all of those things is that combined without something to flush them, will sit in your system and kind of rot, because it takes such a long time to digest. Okay, and your body wasn't in digestion mode all day because you were starving yourself. So like it's a lot. Okay, so this person has colorful hair, or enjoys the aesthetic of having highlights, right? Or wearing like a lot of colors, wearing big hair and a lot of colors on, like makeup, like eyes and lipstick and stuff like that. Okay, I don't really know in your specific story if it's a female or male, but I'm definitely getting androgynous energy here. They may not be on the spectrum of the community, the LGBT community, but I think that they're the type of people who balance their masculine and feminine energy. So if they're a male, they know how to charm it up with you, but then they also know how to make a decision, right? But if it's a woman, it's like they know how to, you know, be vulnerable and nurturing with you, but then they also know how to be cutthroat and, you know, be precise in a sense, right? There's that balance, even though it's still imbalance if we're talking about a beauty queen that thinks of people like a beggar because they're above them. And then we have a horn in the back confirmation. So something about the West, either they're from the West, they are, I'm here, Midwest, or, you know, even Mid-East, but that mid section. The West is kind of the style or the music that they like to listen to. It's also the energy that they most mirror. So even if they're from the East Coast or the East regions of the world, I'm a bit geographically challenged, so please don't judge me there. They still come off with that carefree vibe of being a West Coaster, okay? They, in visual appearance, may be average or normal in height, but if it's a male, it would still be considered shorter. For a female, it would just be considered average or normal in height, right? Because I'm getting, whether you're a female or a male, it's the same height. You're the same height in this thing, okay? So there's a whole bunch of men and women within this energy that are all the same height doing this, okay? And they may be Leos. There's a gang of Leos out there. Pure intention, okay? A gang of Leos out there with pure intention, and that is the highlight of Leos. They have this this over gratified sense of self, this grand sense of self, but it's because, you know, they really feel like the world revolves around them, because that's from their eye point. It's from a very innocent standpoint, but when decisions are made based on this innocent standpoint, people can be hurt, okay? And that's where this pure intention can turn into a toxicity, okay? So this pure intention could be, and here we go, from this feminine energy, because we talked about the balance of the masculine energy, but the pure intent is from that more vulnerable, nurturing, compassionate side, right? And this vulnerable, compassionate, nurturing side most likely learned its way from the Bible, learned its way from people who followed the Bible or followed the teachings of Jesus or the teachings of Christianity, because some Bibles, you know, people be saying different things. So that's the energy that this individual, this energy, overall energy, is coming from, okay? But again, we say what's coming from, there's a transition. Why is there a transition? Oh, because they were too modest and pure. Let's see. Are we talking about two different individuals? No, we're talking about one individual. And they're in two different energies, so it kind of gives them this bipolar sense. Okay. All right. So in one, they seem meek, weak, sickly, and that would be them in their more feminine energy, because that would be, to them, the more vulnerable looking aspect of them. Right, to be visually weak and stuff. This way people won't attack them. But then they have this masculine side of them, which would be considered like the sex god. So we have the modest, pure side, which is the feminine side, and then we have the masculine side, which is the sex god side. That screams BDSM to me, but maybe in a respectful way, if that's possible. This person is closed off to information, or maybe this person is closed off to the Jewish community, to someone who's Hebrew. Maybe this person is Jewish, and instead of being Orthodox, they're probably unorthodox. They're not practicing or anything. They kind of maybe strayed away from their faith. Okay, so they strayed away from their faith. So because of they probably strayed away from their faith because they believe in the miracle of Jesus. That's the real separation between Christians and Jews, right? To the Jews, they definitely highlight that, you know, Jesus was a part of the story, but they don't see him as the sacrificial Son of God. They don't see him as the turning point, the embodiment of Christ in this lifetime, or the Son of Christ in this lifetime. They view him as a prophet. So because they view him as a prophet, they adhere to different books and different readings, and they have different practices than Christians, who believe that Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, would be the resurrection of Christ in all of our lives, right? So it's and Christ as an example to follow Jesus. You get what I'm saying? So like if Jesus is the idea of what we should be, that's what we should follow. Whereas Jewish people, they don't believe that there's a man on earth that you should embody, because that's technically blasphemous. You shouldn't, you should respond that way to the overarching God. And if that's the case, there are these other fundamental practices that are very similar to, the tribes or the Aborigines and the Yoruba, very similar to their practices of sacrificing and offering, God or the gods, for them, because for them there was multiple gods and then an overall creator. So like, still the same concept here. The lower level gods would be considered prophets, and then the overall God would be the creator. So if you want to just make it synonymous. And this person that is here that might be sickly or looks sickly, which would make sense. A lot of Jewish people are small, and I'm not, again, poking any fun. They're smaller in size unless they're older. And once they get to a certain age, then I've noticed like they might retain a little bit more weight. And that could be because of kosher food or, whatever the case is. But I've had it. Some of it's really, the schnitzel, so good. I know I shouldn't be putting plugs out there, but there's this one place, oh my gosh, I would definitely drive an hour and some change away just for the schnitzel sandwich. But other things are a little bit more questionable when it comes to taste, but I'm leaving that alone. You wouldn't really know that they are Jewish outside of possibly an accent, okay? So we have face tattoos. Do they have face tattoos? No. So face tattoos. Oh, so it's like they have, because they're a politician and because they're in this I don't know, this environment where they have to constantly put on a face, it's like their face is tattooed on. Like you can tell it's not a real face, it's a fake face. Like this is not their face. Like they're not this plastered, this happiness or this smile, whatever, is not plastered on their face as often as we see it, okay, in this way. Kind of gives me the feeling of like the Grinch smile. Very creepy and eerie, but that's because they've smiled so long like that their muscles literally morph into that facial, and that's their resting face, right? That's what I'm getting by face tattoo. Just doesn't seem real. Oh, their sacral chakra is activated, and they're most likely asexual, pansexual, or along the spectrum that is not highlighted by the LGBT, okay? So that means that, they're most likely attracted to certain energies, right? And we talked about levels of ascension when we have this card, this pansexual. We're talking about levels of ascension because they're not necessarily attracted to flesh. They're attracted to what is behind the flesh. Now, we're talking about a sex god here that comes off as a prude, or that comes off too modest, okay, for what they actually do in the bedroom, because their sacral chakra is super activated here. So that could, because it doesn't say blocked, I'm not going to say like, they're just, Papa was a rolling stone. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I think I'm saying more, he likes fine cuisine and eats out often. Okay, but this fine cuisine is a replica of himself in some way, either during a time period of his life, maybe like when he was younger, when he was older, just the personality of the person. Age, we're not talking about age here. Let's assume everything is legal. We're not talking about age, but we are talking about, levels of maturity, levels of innocence. So if you show up in the world and you're like happy and go lucky, you seem younger than someone who shows up in the world and is kind of bitter and jaded, right? So I think that's how this person comes off. Like they can, one moment they can be this, another moment they can be this. So they're kind of like a transformer. So what they do is they seek relationship partners, or partners in general, that remind them of an aspect of themselves, right? So it's like they're constantly in a loop of like finding a piece of themselves, because they don't feel like they can find the wholeness of themselves. They don't even feel like themselves is whole. So it's like it's really symbolic. Even though they feel like maybe they're a jack of all trades, they're able to do so much, or to, you know, pour from an empty cup. In actuality, yeah, I'm definitely getting diplomat, you know, Muslim, French, you know, they're international is what I'm getting, right? International commerce, okay. Sacral chakra, sex gods, the ones that are street smarts, small hands, but it's sickly. So let's ask, is this person, do they have a disease? Okay. All right, so they just look sickly because that's a part of their aesthetic. That's how they look slim and trim, is to look frail. Okay, that's how they best see themselves. Okay, there's possibly a weight disorder there. You know, I'm not going to judge because I lost 106 pounds. 106 pounds. So I definitely will let you know firsthand. Yeah, weight, I don't really like to talk about people's weight. If you're big, you probably have some healing to do. If you're small, be careful. You still probably have some healing to do. That is not for me to speak on. Okay. So this is a super long reading. I might separate it. Oh, we have Aries energy. I might separate it. Ohana family. New ideas and ventures. Alright, let's see. A soft trip or fall. With the Scorpio. Scorpio is going to have a soft trip or fall with maybe their best friend or a good friend. So if you know a Scorpio that maybe knows of this individual here that's super slim, and maybe it's a Scorpio and an Aries, right? So I'm gonna ask, is this slim energy, is this an Aries? No, this slim energy is a Scorpio. Okay, they're a Scorpio but has Aries highly aspected in their chart, which would make a lot of sense because that is that fiery energy. I wouldn't think it's the sex god, but I know with a lot of Aries, it's not what you see is what you get. It's not really what happens with Aries. It's kind of like you have to really observe, and even in your observation, it's like, oh, well, one moment you were quiet, and the next moment, you know, you're like a burst of energy. Like, what is this? That is their juxtaposition. Okay, something about clean. A cleaning at a dentist's office with a romantic love. Maybe one of your romantic lovers needs to clean, have a dental cleaning. Okay, so plan for the future. Something about January month. Oh, well, we're in January. Someone's not having any manners. Someone is not expressing their manners in January. How come? Which would make sense because the energy I've been on is really kind of cutthroat. It's like, please don't mess with me. Please don't try it. Can we just have a good day of nobody subtweeting anybody? Listen to all the subtweets that follow. Something about someone planting seeds with a romantic partner. Ooh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Maybe someone needs some grounding here because we had all the rocks that fell on sports and communal. So communal sports. I'm thinking of like a rec. Romantic love with planting seeds with a romantic partner that they met at a rec center. Listen up, y'all. Listen up. Their heads, or the person's head is in the clouds. Ascension symptoms, and I said that with the asexual or pansexual ascension symptoms. I said that, and they're under a divine test, right? Head in the clouds. So does that mean something positive? And this divine test is happening in January. It's happening as we speak. Uh-oh. Okay, so this divine test, if you pass, you would have to be terminated from something. Why? Because of this divine encounter, you're going to have Okay, so right under divine encounter, it says straight bullshit, right? Are we talking about the divine encounter being straight bullshit? Oh no. Okay.